Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay. Um, my name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifestor, and I'm sure you are too because of watching this kind of content. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we're choosing. What I am discussing today is quiet confidence, right? I thought about this during a recent work incident. I'll say work incident, but it was just collaborating with some people. And I was thinking about the old version of me when I was a lot younger, and then like the new version of me at this current stage in my life, and how differently I handled these situations. I think sometimes when we grow up and we kind of are socialized around a lot of people, especially in school and stuff, we're taught that the loudest person in the room, the person that gets the most attention, the person that is the most flashy or most talkative or whatever is the person that is actually confident. We're told that often. And I think that we can see now, because celebrity life is so transparent these days, that we can see that many of these people who are like that, who are very outward, extroverted, talk a lot, gotta be seen, gotta be liked, gotta be validated, that they are not actually very confident. And the reason why they do these things and jump through these hoops is because they want to be liked and they want so badly to be seen and to be validated by others, right? So as we move further in life, we kind of start to notice, and maybe it's not we, maybe it's me. We kind of start to notice that the person who is always out in front and looking for the most attention when it comes to parties and events and dancing and all this kind of stuff, then there's nothing wrong with anything I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with the people that usually they're not always the most confident people. And we find that a lot of times there are people in the room who have quiet confidence that sometimes comes out later on and in different environments, in different spaces, right? And you won't know this because they're not exactly the kind of in your face kind of people, right? And I'm saying this because I do a lot of work and I have a lot of experience doing a lot of different technical things, right? And so because of the background that I come from, I've always been in environments where there was a level of proving myself that I had to do because I was different from the rest of the people in the environments. Whether it was gender, race, ethnicity, whatever, I was always different. So it's like I had to kind of show why I was there. And it's just a fact of, doing technical work in the past 20 years or so, right? So nonetheless, most recently in my life, I've been shedding this idea that I have anything to prove to anybody, right? On any level and in any environment, right? Only things that are important to be proven is the things that I need to prove to myself. And so I was challenged with this situation to where I'm doing collaboration with someone who's probably in their mid-20s, mid to late 20s. And let me tell you, she's good. She's very good at everything she does. She's amazing. And she thinks in the little gaps of ways that what about this? We didn't think about that. And it's kind of amazing to see her brain work because I was like, wow, I used to be that quick. But it's like at this point, I'm like, I kind of relax because I like my peace. I like to be in a calm state of mind most of the time. And when I found that when I was like that, first of all, it was natural to my personality. But another part was that I could never turn the switch off. I was always trying to be the one who had the solutions, who had the ideas, and like more recently in life, it's like, I'm not trying to be that one. I can sit in a meeting real easy and look around like everybody else and go, I don't know. And if they ask me, I'll go, well, I guess my thought might be, I don't just run to the front line and raise my hand for everything like the way that I used to do. But there was something that was happening, and there was a dynamic that was being created by another person that was kind of sort of pitting us against each other in some kind of odd way, like the work that she was doing. And when I tell you that I looked at the old version of me and the new version of me in that moment, because there was absolutely no desire for me to jump in and say, well, I can do this, I can handle that, I can take care of that. And sure enough, a couple of days later, they came back to me and said, I just happened to be going through your portfolio and looking at some work that you've done. And I really like the way you did this project. Can you reproduce that for us? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, right? But it goes to show, it showed me that there's no reason to jump up and down and try to holler and scream about how great you are and telling people every 5 seconds that you do this, you do that, because the reason why is because when there are people in a room who understand the significance of someone who has quiet confidence about who they are and what they do and what they bring to the table, they're going to hone in on you. They're going to try to figure out why you're not being competitive and jumping in like everybody else, right? They're going to try to figure out why you're not like playing the game, why you're not playing ball, why you're not trying to prove anything. And funny enough, in those instances, they generally always go Google you. It's funny enough, right? And then I said in another meeting, and one of the people was like, I didn't know that you were a published author. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then they're more taken aback by the fact that you're not leading with all of your things and your accomplishments and stuff that you were working on, right? So I just wanted to share the power in that. There's a power in quiet confidence, right? And this used to be a long time ago when I would go out. When I do not go out, but when I did, it was always somebody else's idea. And as soon as we hit the place or whatever it was, I was always like, I wish everybody wanted to go home. But when I would go places and stuff, I used to have a friend used to always complain not complain, but just like, oh, how come nobody talks to me when we go out? And it's not that she wasn't an attractive woman. She definitely was. I think it was more so along the lines of that she was always seeking the attention and trying to be noticed and trying to be seen. And because of that, a lot of times people would come to me instead, or at the bar, they'd come to me, or they'd come and chat with me for a minute, and then after they chat a few seconds, they'll realize, this one is going to be a lot of work, and they'll probably move on. But nonetheless, I always knew that it was a quiet confidence that I had, right? And this is something that I've had for the most of my life in a lot of areas, but now in this point in my life, I'm using it in different places. I'm making sure that I'm not trying to overcompensate in the workplace. I'm not trying to overcompensate. Even with my daughters, they always talk about what these other parents are doing for their, for their activities and what's going on. Well, the first 10 years of their lives, I was completely dedicated to every activity they had. I'm talking about bringing the juice, bringing the snacks, bringing the drinks, being a room mom, all these little things that I had time to do because of the type of work that I did. And it's like now, it's like, I don't want to hang around teenagers all day. I don't want to ride buses to football games. No, thank you. And so they'll go, oh, so-and-so's mom's doing it. Oh, so-and-so brought, they bought snowballs for everyone. I'm like, sounds great. And then when I donate or do things, I do it quietly. I send it in with the kids and then I pull on off, and there's some parents who sit in that app and go, I just dropped off this, I just brought this, I just brought that, or whatever. And what people don't understand is that when you're not seeking the spotlight everywhere you go, when you're not always looking for the attention everywhere you go, that's when you get noticed for the things that you want to be noticed for, right? Because I can honestly say 99% of the time when I'm out and about and doing things, I don't want to be noticed for anything. I want to just slide on in wherever I'm going and then slide on out, right? And those are the times. Those are the times when people approach you. They ask you questions. They want to know things. They want you to help them with all kinds of things, right? I was out what I call is, elderly time in the middle of the day between like 10 and 1. And I was just walking around one of the little department stores. And let me tell you, like 3 different older women asked me to help them with things while I was there. One, she couldn't get a basket because she could, she broke out something and she could barely walk. The other one, something off the top shelf. And then the other one was just like sharing a story with me about her granddaughter being into Spider-Man. And I was like, oh, my daughter's into Spider-Man. And so it's kind of like, I wasn't looking for anything. I'm not looking to chat anybody up or to have conversations or do anything. But people feel relaxed and comfortable, and they also feel like you have something to offer when you are quietly confident, right? And I've been around a lot of people who are very extroverted and who command a lot of attention and stuff, and I can easily sit next to them and kind of just go, right? And I've still had people come and say, well, what do you do? Why are you here? What are you working on, right? And I've been at conferences and this kind of thing has happened. And so I just want to put a message out there that if you're not seeing the type of attention or the type of feedback that you want to in all areas of your life, think about how you are approaching those areas, right? And my suggestion would be to work deeper on the confidence that you have, right? Work deeper on being the person that people want to seek out for things, whether it's work, whether it's a date, if that's what you're looking for, or whether it's, a friendship, or whether it's just to have a social interaction out in public or something. Be that person. And so that way you're not always looking like you're needy. And I will say this, when I was younger, it used to trick me. I used to really, really think that was something that I had to do, that I had to learn how to do, or learn how to be, or learn how to get whatever, because grew up around quite a bit of extroverted people. And I remember once having a family member try to coach me into, how to, be extroverted and out and loud. And I'm like, I'm just not like that. And so I was fooled when I was younger into believing that the people that got the most attention were the people that were the most confident. And I realized as through life has gone on that that's just not always the case. That's usually the people, in my experience, that need a lot of validation, from a lot of external validation. And I don't think that's a necessarily bad thing, because I think we all like external validation to some extent, right? We all like to be told nice things about ourselves. But when you are a person that's a little bit more reserved, and you're a little bit more demure, you're a little bit more shy. I wouldn't even say shy. You just don't interact at the level of other people, or you don't garner the amount of attention sometimes that other people get. You can really start to believe like, well, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not, maybe I need to change this or change that. And I'm here to tell you that you absolutely do not have to change anything, right? There's so much power in quiet confidence, right? There's so much power in people asking you what's going on with you, as opposed to you always sharing things that's going on with you, right? I've said this in other videos before. The other day, a really good friend of mine asked me a question about what I've been manifesting lately. And I literally had to think deeply about it, because I'm like, oh, ain't nobody ever asked me that kind of stuff. Like, not that I care. I mean, because most of the things that I do, I'm kind of just to myself, right? But I was like, well, let me see what I've been working on. I was like, I've been working on this, that, and I had to come up with all the things. And it would be a much different situation if I was contacting people out of the blue saying, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working on. And I have done that. I've been that person before, because I thought it was something that was necessary to do in order to receive a validation or receive attention. But it seems to me in life, the minute you are not focused on the validation, the minute you are not focused on the attention, the minute you are not focused on, getting something or whatever like that, that's when all this stuff kind of falls at your feet. And I consider myself, always have in many areas of my life, a late bloomer, right? And when I say late bloomer, it's with no negative connotation. It just means that I wasn't at the leading edge when it came to maturity, when it came to like what everybody was getting into in school and in college and further on after that. I was on the leading edge of wisdom though. I was always one of those people that's like, and why are we doing this? When I was like 16 years old. And like, and why are we walking in front of these boys? I just wanted to know, like, what's the purpose of this? I used to have a friend that used to make fun of me because she's like, you don't hang out and chill. She's like, Jameelah gonna ask you, what is the purpose of this gathering? And I'm like, well, I don't really do Netflix with friends. That's not really my way. If I'm gonna sit and watch Netflix, I'm probably by myself. But it's nothing wrong with none of that. But I always considered myself this person that had to push myself out in front, like be more this or be more that or be more seen or be more. And the thing about that kind of thing is, when you do have quiet confidence, people will test it in a different kind of way. Like they'll test it by not validating you to see if you have any cracks in your armor, to see if you have any holes in your armor, right? Because when they're around people that get validated on the external all day, they know that there's nothing they can tell that person that's gonna, shatter that, because that person hears it from too many people all around all the time, right? Now, if you're around somebody who doesn't necessarily hear it, even though when they're out and about, people are thinking it, people are looking at you and thinking you look nice, people are looking at you and thinking you're beautiful, people are looking at you and thinking that you're, intelligent or smart, and they hear your conversation, but they're not gonna always say it, because sometimes I think some people, it's easier for people to give compliments to than others, right? I think when you have a certain depth about your personality, people are less likely to seek you out in that way, because they can't figure you out quick enough. Like they can't figure you out in a snapshot, so they think they can't, right? So they're less likely to engage with you the same way they might with someone else, you know? And so people try to test that a lot. Like, they'll not validate you. I've been around and dated people before where it was always like, I was out one time and these ladies were like, oh, you just look gorgeous. Look at your outfit and your shoes and everything. You look so nice. And the person I was with was like, well, don't tell her that. It's going to go to her head. And I'm just like, it's not going to go to my head. When I put on these clothes and I put this outfit together, I was confident in it and I knew that I looked good already. I don't need them to tell me, but it's very beautiful that they didn't have a problem with sharing that, and they did it so sweet and so nicely. I'm grateful for it and I appreciate it. But it's kind of funny how if I were a different type of person, they would have never even said anything like that to me at all, you know? So you got to watch that. When you kind of more reserved and you kind of more, you know, not as outward when it comes to being confident about things and who you are and where you land in life, people will try you a little bit in odd ways, right? They try to crack your armor. And I can even think back to even being married. I can think of some instances, but I won't even talk about them. But just some moments to where I was never in belief of what they were, of the negative thing. I like to observe people and see what they're made of and whether or not they can, how do I put it? I like to just observe and see what people are made of and whether or not they're going to keep on trying to go down a road, even if it's not a valid road or something like that. So a lot of times, you know, when you have this quiet kind of confidence about yourself, you let people hang around you a little bit and they think that they're getting away with certain behaviors and all this kind of stuff, but they're not getting away with anything because you can see right through it. You're just kind of like biding your time to see if they're going to like tighten it up and kind of like adjust it, or if they're going to, you know, keep on going down that road. But if you were a person that was more outgoing and extroverted and everybody outside was validating who you were and what you had going on everywhere you went, they would have less room to play with that because the external validation kind of tricks that person into not playing with you and not, you know, not pretending like they don't see what you are, right? Because a lot of times people are around you and they want to act a certain way or not validate you in a certain way. But it's like, if I was that, then why are you sitting here? You know what I mean? If I was not what you thought was quality, then why would I be sitting here next to you? Why would I be your friend? Why would I be on this job? Why would I be doing this contract? You know, why would I even be in this space? You have to make sure that you're not letting people putting cracks in your armor, especially if you are more introverted and a more quiet, confident kind of person. Because just because you don't say it out loud doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because you don't share everything that's going on doesn't mean that you're not experiencing great things. Just because you're not posting pictures of everything that you're doing all the time on social media, it doesn't mean that you're not living a great life, you know? Anyway, I just wanted to share some stuff related to the power in quiet confidence. Don't change it, don't lose it, and bask in it. Because guess what? It fends off a lot of the riffraff. I will say that when you're quietly confident and you kind of, people don't know how to approach you or they don't know how to interact with you, it fends off a lot of people that you don't want to be bothered with anyway, right? And so sometimes we think like, oh, I was out, you know, and we see extroverted people and they talk to this, they got about 50 people they're friends with and they interact with and all. But it's just like no quality. Only 2 of those people possibly are quality in there, right? And there's an absolutely no, and I can see it, and this is nothing negative with the way both of my daughters operate. One of them is very quiet in her confidence, and the other one is very confident, but it's a very much more extroverted type of confidence. And she has about a 50-person roster. When you say your friends are coming, you know, it's the other one's like 1 or 2, and she doesn't really want to do them at the same time. She's like, can only this person come over today? Can only that person come over today? And that's the way she operates. And I can respect both of them. But what I want to say is that don't be fooled by the quiet person who's more reserved. And don't change that aspect of who you are, because when it's time for the right people in the right situations and the right circumstances to seek you out, they will. And it won't be because you're pretending to be something that you're not, just to get attention that you think that you're missing out on, when it's really just shallow attention anyway, for the most part. At the workplace and environments, you go out to the club, it's like all shallow attention. when somebody comes and they start Googling you and they start searching your work history and they start looking things up about you, that's when they are choosing. And that's the type of attention that you want to have. You want that kind of feedback from the world. When people like look at you and go, I wonder what they're about. And then they come back impressed. That means you're never going to have to prove anything. They've already been impressed with what they gathered and just the idea that they were drawn to you quietly in the first place. Anyway, I might have went on too long about that. But I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.